Into that part three about the tragedies involved and the legal ramifications of um, people who become obsessed with people who aren't interested in them. I heard of a situation recently. These people barely knew each other. They had just met, that right out of the gate. I think it was around the third conversation they had. One of them initially said that he had fallen in love with the person, the lady, and she said, "Oh, I'm fond of you." And I didn't know if this was friendliness or friendship, but I was interested in one or the other, but not romantic love, and I'm just not appropriate for that. I'm not appropriate target for that kind of energy or attention. And he kept coming, and he kept going on and on about how they could get together, and the age difference was about 4 decades. And she kept saying, "No, I know more about growing older than you do. You can't possibly know the things I know about being 40 years older than you are. Take it from me, it won't work. I can't. I don't want to be dragged back into the youth culture. I don't want to try to compete with younger, healthier women. I don't even, I'm not interested." And I do know the person fairly well. She tends to date or um, affiliate with people who are within 5 to 10 years of her age, um, up or down. Now, here's what this guy then said. He said basically he just wanted control over her. He was in the mafia. No joke. This actually happened. I'm sure that it's true. I know that it's true. I know both the people. He said that men in the mafia get control over their women, and since she was very smart and talented in a variety of ways, that he wanted control over, he wanted authority over her and control over her archive when she died. And she was sitting there, planning on living for quite some time, but he said, I'm told that he said, given the way things are going for you, that shouldn't be a very long time. So he actually dropped the veil. His initial idea that he was attracted to her fell because she just shot it down. She said, I'm not there for that. Just, move on." But then he got insidious, he got threatening, his eyes narrowed, I'm told, and he actually said that he wanted control over her creative archive. Well, I happen to know that that woman lost a lot of her possessions in a tragedy years ago, and she doesn't have that much of an archive anymore to control. But she's darn sure not going to give it to some kid who's 4 decades her junior and has therefore, has just blatantly admitted that he's waiting for her to die so he can sell her stuff. Not going to happen. But here's where it turns even stranger. He tried to do the following. He tried to lock her out of certain accounts that she had, business wise. He did what he called a preemptive strike by telling people that they knew in common that she was harassing him when nothing could be further from the truth. She's rational. He's nuts. She's trustworthy and moral and decent and kind, and he's apparently none of the above, from what I can tell. Just mistaken. And it's escalating now, from what I understand, into possible legal action. Um, he said he was going to call the police and say that she was harassing him. That's not happening. The police know her better than that. In fact, they use some of her information that she offers educationally in their training programs. They know for sure she's not going to be doing that. He said he was going to hack into her email accounts and edit some of her videos and email. He said he was going to disable certain access she had to certain premises. He said he was going to hack her Wi Fi signals defame and discredit her, which, of course, the defamation starts with saying that she was interested in him because she wasn't, and that's an insult. So there was massive, massive age discrimination. When he said he was going to actually call the police and say that he was worried about her, that she wasn't taking care of herself well enough. Well, in point of fact, she's taking care of herself so well that she's going to put that little cretin in jail. He is stalking her. He said he went by where she lived, saw her leaning out the window without her false teeth in and with no makeup, and said, that she was ugly. So he started being abusive, but then demanded to know who she was talking to, because when he drove by, which he shouldn't have been doing, he shouldn't even known where she lived or cared. When he drove by where she lived and saw her, not ready for prime time, she was talking to a neighbor or a friend or something. And he started demanding to know who she was talking to and why. So this all gets real strange real fast. And that's why I'm warning you people. You never know who these crazy people are. I did my academic work in psychology and art and behavioral medicine and so forth. And I'm probably not supposed to say crazy people because it's not all that politically correct, but that's crazy. This child is crazy. And I do know that woman very, very well. And I know that she's downright, outright fed up with this kind of garbage happening in her life because she didn't invite it. She thought he was being friendly or maybe a new, cross-generational friend. And people can have cross-generational friends across decades. That happens all the time. But for him to turn ugly when she said, no thanks, it's just not the right thing to do. We would never be compatible. We couldn't manage. Then to tell her that he was waiting for her to die so that he could sell her creative property, of which there isn't that much anymore. And then try to cast aspersions on her character, her abilities. Um, he was basically just lying about her to cover his tracks, and that's vermin. That's low-life vermin behavior. That is worse than merely being a child who's become obsessed with controlling someone that he had no right to control. They were in a public context in which someone asked her a question, and he answered it for her without any right to do so, without any right to speak for her. He interrupted her when she tried to answer the question herself and answered it for her as if she needed that from anyone at all, and she doesn't. So, this is how strange things can happen very quickly. I have read stories in the newspaper. I've talked to people I knew in person. I have tried to counsel people to whom this kind of thing happened, but I've heard of people getting stalked after one date. One date. And somebody becomes inappropriately attached to someone else and becomes a real terror in their lives, a real horror. It's scary when this kind of crap happens. And we all know, I've seen several stories recently of people who meet on online dating services, and they don't make it out of the first date alive. They don't even make it out of the first date alive because these people are crazy. So at some point, you just have to call it what it is. Obsessing over someone that is inappropriate to you and then trying to hurt them in this myriad ways that are possible is truly insane. And it needs to be seen as a form of sociopathy. This person who's doing this to the woman we're talking about right now does have antisocial personality disorder. And he's like a little child saying, no, the dog did it, or somebody else did it, or I didn't do it. He's like nuts. So I'm going to rename this channel, if I can figure out how to do it through YouTube, to Politically Incorrect Tough Love, because Planet Peace Project is gone. I'm not going to be the Planet Peace woman. I'll never get that done. But at least I can give voice to certain anger and certain frustrations. And the people I know who've suffered and talk on behalf of animals I know who've suffered, this voice can be loud. So this is Nancy Love of politically incorrect, tough love, PITL, PITL, and that's who I've piddled on today. Sayonara.